And joining us exclusively this morning from Mountain View, California is Pat's mom, Mary Tillman. She's also the author of Boots on the Ground by Dusk, searching for answers in the death of Pat Tillman. Mary, good to have you with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I know there's also a new, in coinciding with the release of this documentary on Friday, the paperback edition of your book is coming out, and it includes a new foreword with some new information. What is it that people may not have known before that's in that foreword that you want to get out?
Well, there's some information in there about Stanley McChrystal. The book has always had this information in it. I wrote the book and came out in 2008, and I indicate that McChrystal was involved in, you know, orchestrating, I think, orchestrating the cover-up. He falsified the Silver Star. He was very aware that Pat was killed by friendlies. And then when he was going to be promoted to the head commander in Afghanistan, I had contacted President Obama. I had emailed him, and I'd written a letter, and I contacted members of Congress, just trying to remind them that this man needed to be scrutinized very carefully. And in the end, it turned out that he was pretty much meant for that position. He was a shoo-in, and of course he was promoted. And that is, you know, part of the foreword.
And you talk a little bit about that, about the concerns that you raised with President Obama, with Senator McCain and others. You say when this Rolling Stone article came out just this spring, which of course led to the end of his post there and his military career, you say you felt validated when you read that article about General McChrystal. Why?
Well, I just felt that from what I'd read about General McChrystal, he was a pretty savvy individual. And when I read the article, I thought that the remarks that were made to this reporter, or in front of this reporter, by him and his staff, was extremely arrogant and irresponsible. You know, and I say in the foreword, you know, it's understandable that he might be critical of Paris and all its chicness when he's been, you know, in a war zone, and, you know, critical of policies he doesn't agree with. That's all very fine. I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion. But the arrogant way that he spoke about it in front of a reporter, that disturbed me, and I felt like maybe I was validated.
And that's really what stuck with you. We mentioned this documentary is coming out on Friday. Your son, whenever we hear about your son, there's always talk about what a private person he was, how he really didn't want all that much attention. Why did you agree then to move forward with this documentary and to tell this story in this way?
Well, because the documentary, in part, is to try to, you know, present Pat as a human being and not this caricature that was created. But the bigger reason for this documentary is to point out, you know, the horrible way that that he was used, and, you know, that he was his death was lied about by the military, excuse me, by the government. But he's not an isolated incident. This happens on a regular basis, and it's a systemic problem. It's not isolated to the Bush administration. It's happened for years, and it's tolerated. And I feel that the documentary...
I'm sorry, Mary, I just want to clarify. When you say this has happened, do you mean the fratricide? Do you mean troops being killed? Well,
fratricide, yeah, fratricide and troops being killed, and the military lies to the family about what really happened.
So you feel that that's something that is an ongoing problem for a number of families, that in fact they're not getting the full story from the government?
Yes, I believe that's true. I've met many of them.
And as you continue, I know there's been talk in the past that you've said, you know, it's unhealthy to keep pushing. At some point, you can't keep pushing so much, but yet I know there are still answers that you would like to have. Based on all the information that you've been able to get over the years, what do you believe really happened to your son, Pat?
Well, that's too complicated of an answer to answer in the short time we have. There are several scenarios that we believe could have taken place, but to say specifically what happened to him, we're not sure. I think it was probably an act of gross negligence, but because there was really no criminal investigation at the time of his death, there really is no way that we'll probably ever know.
Well, so many folks do appreciate you continuing to speak out, and again, the documentary comes out this Friday and the book out in paperback. Mary, thanks for sharing some time with us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.